Hello, welcome to Art. Last week I explained how to measure, and this week I'll show you some examples on how to apply it. If you haven't watched the previous video yet, pause this and go watch it. Let's take a look to some examples and find the measures. I usually start by a square or a rectangle to place the drawing. After that, it's best to search for the most simple shape that encloses the figure. Then we search for the middle and inclination of the figure. In this one I'm just warming up, so I picked a long pose and made the drawing big. It's important to draw in different sizes to really take advantage of this exercise. Remember to always look for the biggest shapes first, taking into account both positive and negative space. The legs work like it will have counterweights. One hip tilts to one side, the knee to another, and the ankle to another, as you can see here. I will cover these aspects further in future anatomy videos. To be able to draw the shape, I don't search for contours. It's best to focus on inclinations to be able to see the shape without details. Even if you have curves, it's best to draw them as straight lines, since all curves are composed of smaller, straight lines. For the breast, we draw an inverted heart shape, making sure to make it fall where it should, to draw the feeling that the breasts are overlapping over the thorax. Also, make sure to find the relationship between the two nipples by a straight line. Regarding the head and hands, for now let's just draw the general shape, and for the face, just mark the middle and inclination and line for the eyes, nose and mouth. Now that we are all warmed up, let's try to make smaller ones. These ones are more difficult, because having shorter distances means mistakes are more noticeable, since we have less margin for error. But it's important to be able to draw in any size, especially for this exercise. If you made a mistake, there is no need to erase it. Since we are drawing light, try to use a hard pencil like a 2H or an F. Also remember, this exercise is to practice a concept, so don't stress too much about it. Yes, pay attention to the measures and directions, but also try to have fun. With patience and practice, you will be able to skip steps, change the order of them, or even do them without even noticing. Looking at this pose, the first thing I notice is the inclination of the spine and shoulders in relation to the legs. That right there is a very simplified version of this pose, only with a few lines and measurements. In only a few minutes, we already have all the information we need in order to keep working on the drawing without worrying about proportions. It's only a few lines, but it's enough to explain what the pose looks like. A good exercise you can add to this practice is to put a timer and try to stay within the 2 minutes margin to draw all the necessary components. If you achieve that, you can try for 1 minute. That way we make sure to draw only what is necessary and improve our ability to abstract ourselves. If you feel like only a few minutes is not enough time to do this, there are two possibilities. Either you are brand new at this and you do really need extra time, or you are really overthinking it. Looking at the contours too much will cause you to draw things that are not necessary to capture, and you will end running out of time. Now we do a long standing pose, which is hard to do on a small size, but with the rectangle method I explained earlier, you will never run out of space. The first thing I notice is how the shoulders and hips tilt towards different directions, since we can only see the side of the lower part, but the side and back of the torso, that clearly suggests a torsion between torso and pelvis, given by the relationship between both shoulders and pelvis inclination. Once you get comfortable ignoring the details, you can start to have a more structural approach, considering the thickness of the forms. With this exercise, it's important to play around with things like size of the drawing, time of the drawing. That way you acquire adaptability. This might look hard to do on a daily basis, but if you are serious about getting better with drawing, it's important to rely on discipline rather than inspiration to draw. Don't think too much about it, just draw a little bit each day and you will get better. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Making mistakes is encouraged. That's what's great about art. We can make mistakes, but with the right mindset, they can be stepping stones into a deeper understanding of the craft. Be proud of your mistakes. They are a living proof that you're trying to get better, and there is no shame in that. Most people don't even try. Small changes like this on your routine can really change a lot, so be patient and keep drawing. For this one, I noticed how the shoulders and the hips have opposite inclination, producing a pinch on the right side of the model and a relaxed line on her left side. Make sure to use negative space and straight lines to find simpler shapes that wraps around the figure. That way, it's easier to find the smaller shapes that lie inside of that. In these ones, they are too big for shortening, one on the leg and another on the head. If you understand foreshortening, that's great, but we try to draw it using this exercise, finding measures via straight lines and comparing it with another landmark on the drawing. Make sure to compare size relationship between shapes. In case you don't understand how to draw it, just abstract your mind and rely on the exercise to find the measures and proportions, as it was any other part. But don't worry, I will cover foreshortening in future videos too. For the facial features, for now we used just lines. Do not hurry, even if you're drawing by time, it's better to draw smart, because if you try to draw as fast as you can, you will end up making ugly lines and making an habit out of it. We are practicing accuracy and proportions, but we also take into consideration the gesture of the figure. We'll study this in depth in future videos, so if you feel like your drawings are very accurate but also very stiff, that means that it's a good time to start studying gesture, now with better understanding of proportions. That way, you can now find a good balance between the two of them. Once you master both, it's your decision when to use one more than the other. It's all about balance. In some sense, these concepts are opposite, but also complementary. Even if you are an experienced artist, it's important to revisit this concept from time to time to keep your skills up. So, just to summarize, remember to check your plumb lines and compare a part with another. Also to check the angles of the figure and to compare size relationship between shapes. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Bye bye!